Ooga booga dooga rooga.
The Northman is here. We watched it. Eggman is back. His third movie. I'm let down, personally.
A little bit.
I'm let down.
A little bit.
Positives, what we got here? It's an Eggman movie, okay? This movie looks great. All the actors here, I think, are solid. Dialogue, you know Eggman, he's making sure he's in the right time period. He builds himself a time machine. He goes back there. He listens to how people talk. He comes back and makes a movie. The sound editing was great. The soundtrack was pretty solid. It's bloody. Skarsgård's hot as fuck when he's shirtless, just fucking walking down the fucking...
What Evo's saying is this movie had everything it needed, except for a tighter direction and path, maybe.
But my feeling walking out of this theater, I was like, I think Eggman actually bit more than he could chew here. If you look at The Witch, it takes place in just one area. The Lighthouse is even smaller scale. This movie, not only did it just grow in its scales in terms of location, but also its characters. The whole time I'm watching, I'm like, dude, this is all technically great, but I was never fully invested. It kept on just teetering me. I was just loose. I was like, fuck, I was doing my best. I wanted to just grab onto Eggman's cape as he's flying me through this fucking journey, this crazy Icelandic, beautiful land, but it just, he kept on hitting the fucking rocks.
You gotta pay respect to this Robert Eggman motherfucker because he's made 2 movies and already people have like an expectation. So many directors will make so many movies and then they'll make a hit and then they'll start getting respect. This dude just hit 2 home runs and then now he hit what you thought was a home run, but it got the guy to third base, but not quite a home run. This movie, it seemed to lack like an emotional connection really to anybody, even the main character of Skarsgård. Like in The Witch, you feel so much more connected to this family because you're only in this one setting with the family as you see them getting ripped apart like emotionally. This movie, I never really felt that emotional connection to any of the characters as far as they're concerned, and the love subplot, it didn't hit as hard as it potentially could have.
The setting Eggman chose and like the dialect and all that was also like a detriment to creating emotional ties because these Vikings are just ballistic. It's just hard to relate to these people who are just screaming at fire. It's hard to build a love relationship to a king that you barely know the kingdom of, you don't really care, he doesn't even seem like that likable. There's like a disconnect because these people back then were just not what we think at all.
Yeah, I think this movie really could have saved itself if it stuck to the location that it started at in the beginning of the movie. He should have kept it on a simpler path of he's coming back home and that's it. I think if you get rid of that little scene right there where they take the bad guy and put him in a different spot, I think it really could have helped this movie so much.
Yeah, the location the movie decides to like sit its ass on for like the remainder of its time, it just isn't that captivating. It's just not that interesting. And like what's going on here, it's like none of it's bad, but you're just like, fuck, man, like why isn't this doing more for me?
But it's still so cool because you see so much shit in here that you're never gonna see from any producing or directing company like ever right now. Probably the most accurate Viking movie you're ever gonna possibly get because it was a director who cared that much about it.
The fight scenes, the blood was there, the impacts were there, but the actual choreographing of the fights, I thought it was just weirdly slow, not as ferocious as the buildups to all the fight scenes led up to be. An issue with all the fight scenes of the movie, even the last one, which I think still could have been way fucking cool because the setting was just an epic gamer moment, but they didn't tap the potential it should have had.
Yeah, I think the choreographing definitely could have been better, and also that Berserker scene, I was looking forward to the Berserker scene more than anything in this movie. It was shot really fucking cool, but it was just like little details that to make it even more submersive and show the full treatment of a Berserker warrior, not just the tail end of it before they go to battle.
Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe fighting in the Lighthouse was faster feeling.
There's so many times here where the movie just kind of comes to a stopping halt and explores this love subplot or just takes 10 minutes to explore some Viking tradition or lore. There's kind of a lot of downtime. You're seeing stuff that's cool and accurate about Vikings, that's sick. At the same time, they were such a savage people. I feel like we could have just got so much more and it would have only made more sense.
The pacing here was just not up to par for me. Like, there's no way this movie can slow down now. Like the cards have been played, like it's time to get ready, and then somehow they managed to just have a moment on a boat or something. Like The Witch and The Lighthouse again, constantly building, constantly growing to something. And this movie does too, technically. Like, it is doing that, but there's so many little pit stops every time. You feel it more than his other works, And this goes back to him just picking a project that is just so much more bigger in scale than anything he's done. Willem Dafoe, shout out alert. Woo! He was great in the movie. I wish he was a little more in it.
Give another shout out to the fact that it was made. Like you have naked Ethan Hawke just crawling on the ground, acting like a dog. What the fuck am I watching? Like you just just don't get a movie like this anymore because everyone's afraid to make a movie like this. Because it was all practical, and then when they needed CG, it looked good. The volcano in this movie looked fucking great.
The ending of this movie, you know, going back on Eggman's like history, right? His movies usually end kind of open-ended in a way, kind of mysterious, kind of leaves you like kind of questioning things. The ending of this movie I thought was weirdly abrupt for how long the movie was. Everything made sense, but I walked out unsatisfied. Like there was no handshake at the end of the movie with me in the movie. It's just, we just left the house. Like you didn't even say bye to me. You just walked out and said, I'm leaving.
The ending was really cool. The setting was sick, and I love the visual of silhouettes of people fighting. It's such a cool visual, but it was the whole fight up until the final stroke of the sword. It could have been more. That's what he was saying. Like it ends, you're like, fuck, that was it.
The Revenant did it better. Actually thinking about it, like trying to compare this movie to The Revenant in a weird way, like, wasn't enough emotion there.
You have some flames in your climactic fight, like you pretty much have it sealed. You just gotta sign the paper. Eggers just spelled his name wrong at the end. This hurts me more than the last like 3 years of just anal farts of movies coming out. Feels good to feel pain again when a movie lets me down. Cause you know, when we watched Morbius, like echolocation. I'm gonna give this movie a polite 6.5. It still did it for me. I still saw the things that I wanted to see. Could have punched me more in the chest for sure when it comes to just the emotional connection to this movie. I was visually pleased for my blood pump right here. It wasn't, the strings weren't hooked into the movie as much as I really wanted them to be dug in there. Skarsgård is just an ape.
6.5 for me as well.
Whoa!
Throw that on there. Boom! Everything reset. Bonus review time. I saw Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's my movie of the year so far and my movie of last year. Everyone should go check that movie out and watch this movie too. That's my rating. Hold on. Second bonus review. I watched Death on the Nile, okay?
Still was bad, but I think it was better than the first one. The climax alone of the first one was enough to make this movie just better than it. But it was the setting, the boat, and Armie Hammer. Fuck me.
All right, well, we just gave you 3 reviews in 1 review. Isn't this epic? Go watch Northman.
Please.
Go watch Everything Everywhere. Well, I still love you, Eggman. Hopefully, Ari Aster, whatever you're cooking up for your 3rd movie, will not do this to us. That's it. Take care and Godspeed, Spider-Man.
Goodbye. That's what. Yeah, Hammer.
Yeah,
go.
sorry.
No, you're good.
You sure?
Yeah, keep going.
You don't want to say anything?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
I burped. Am I fit to be a king?
Oh yeah.